Welcome back to our Q&A series where we focus on your manifesting and intuition questions. This week in the community tab, we posted a question about whether or not you've ever really wanted something and you have found yourself sabotaging your own success or putting up resistance or pulling back in some way, before it actually comes. And I can really relate to this one. I definitely can recall many moments in life where I sabotaged my own success or I doubted right before um, my own success came in. And one of the main reasons this happens is because just before we are about to expand or receive what it is we want, the universe gives us this sort of, I like to call it an "are you sure" moment. Other people call it a test. I don't like to use that kind of language because I believe that my intuition, my higher self, my spiritual guides, whether they're um, divine or past ancestors or just galactic beings here for my highest good in support of me. It doesn't matter what you believe. No matter what, I feel like I only allow in what is loving and meant for me. And I believe that my universe is always looking to bring me more and more of what I want. And if that is all true, which I believe it to be true, then my universe isn't testing me, because testing would say that I was unworthy of it. No, it's asking me if I'm ready, and it's asking me if I'm sure about what I want. And so if I make a choice to say I'm not ready, or I am not sure, then it's going to, uh, you know, hold that back from me, because the universe is only going to give you what you're ready for. And that saying, um, God will never give you more than you can handle. That's what this is. It's, you've said yes. You've become the person who is capable of receiving the thing, and you're ready for it. You want it, you're ready for it, you're sure about it, and you're ready to move forward. And when all those things align, then the universe will, in fact, uh, have it appear to you. It's always been there. It's just whether or not you are seeing it. So, let me tell you about three really big aha moments that I had in my life. And then I'll give you the lesson behind it. So, the first big aha moment was with relation to relationships. So, I kept um, having these moments where my significant other was just not available to me in some way, shape, or form. They either they were emotionally unavailable, physically unavailable, they bullied me, talked rudely to me, like anything. I just kept inviting these partners into my life that just weren't for my highest good, and they didn't treat me well. And so I did some personal growth work, and it it wasn't during the personal growth. It was kind of like I was doing the work, and then I was on the other side of that particular journey, and I was calling in a more aligned partner, and and they were still, aligning to my past beliefs. And so I had this aha moment where it was because I had a perception on how men were going to treat me. I almost expected that they were going to use, abuse, treat me unkindly, whatever. And so I attracted that into my life. And literally, with a flip of the switch, I just was like, I'm going to trust in my intuition's ability to guide me to the right people, and also to let me know that if a person isn't for my highest good, like is a danger, or I shouldn't be with this person. And I was able, this is not always the case, but I was able to flip that switch instantly and just believe that my intuition would always warn me if I needed to be warned, so I didn't have to worry about it. And then I started to attract the right people. Now, this is not to say like don't have um like let all your defenses down. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I switched the belief. I switched the belief that all men were X, Y, and Z. Instead, I believed that I was attracting A, B, and C, and that if in that mix there happened to be a rotten apple, so to speak, my intuition would warn me. And so that's lesson number one, is the belief, right? The next aha moment I had was financial related. I went through a period of time where, I had a dip in my finances, and I really wasn't used to this because I had had really good jobs and was making way more than I needed. And this was when I first started my business, and I was building up my client base and all the things. And I was worried all the time. I was worried about my employees and my ability to pay them, and to also, to pay them and have all the infrastructure in place to do that. I was worried about clients and doing right by them. I was worried about having all of the right infrastructure in place for protection and blah, blah, blah. I was worried about being able to pay all my bills. I just was worried all the time. And um and I had people sort of telling me like worrying is a useless emotion, and I believe, like, I knew that, but I just couldn't stop worrying. And I was watching a webinar. It was a Tony Robbins webinar featuring Matthew McConaughey, and there was this woman on it. I can't think of her name. I want to say it was like Marie Kondo, but I'm not sure that it was her. She may have been on it and it may not have come from her. But anyway, there was this woman on. She's a celebrity and I can't remember her name, so I apologize. But she said something like, when I have this emotion that I keep feeling, and it's like causing behavior that I don't want, um, I just I just say to myself, "Psh, I don't do that anymore." And I just keep, every time that emotion comes up, I just name it and say, Psh, I don't do that anymore. And she said it took some time. She was like dealing with anxiety, and her anxiety was it was causing her to fill her calendar such that she was anxious all the time about being able to get through her day, and have space for herself, and yada yada yada. And so I tried it. I was like, I'm going to try it. So every time I felt worry, I was like, worry, psh, I don't do that anymore. And it was pretty quick, like maybe a few days, and the worry just lessened and lessened and lessened. And now when worry comes in, I just observe it. I'm like, oh, there's all this stuff going on. And I used to be worried about that kind of stuff. But I'm not. Like I noticed the stuff and I noticed that it used to cause me worry, but I'm not currently worried about it. So, so that's another thing is like you can create these little hacks for yourself when you're noticing that you have emotions that are causing behavior. Because when you want to manifest something, you need your thoughts, feelings, and emotions to all be aligned. So and emotions are pretty powerful, right? And so when you have emotions that are causing you to act in a way that is against your desires or against your wish to how you want to be in the world, you can create little hacks for yourself to work through those emotions and change your behavior. And the next one, and this one is my history around sabotaging my success. What I realized in this case was that I would sabotage my success whenever I didn't know what was coming after I achieved the thing that I was calling in. So let's just say I had a goal and I was working to achieve that goal. I would always put something in the way of actually getting there. I would come so close. The one goal that really comes to mind is I was a competitive triathlete and I would go to nationals every year, and they take something like the top 13 and then roll it out to 19 for alternates and things like that. I think something like that. I forget. I haven't done it in years, but it's something along those lines. So 19, they take 19, something like that. And I would come close. Like one year I was 22nd, one year I was 27th. I was close. But I just was never in the mix. And it was somebody asked me during a personal growth seminar, what happens when you go? Like I wanted to go to Worlds. I just wanted to experience going to Worlds. I had no grandeur about like winning or going to the Olympics or anything. I just wanted to go to the World Champions because they treat it like the Olympics. They roll out the red carpet and they put up the flags and they do parade of nations and all this stuff, and I just thought it would be a cool experience that I wanted to have. um, and so I was like, I don't know, I've been working on this goal forever, and who knows, like who knows what I should do after. And it was in that moment, not that first um, exact moment, but in reflecting on that moment, weeks later, I realized that um, I am always like I'm the one that pushes the boundaries and goes outside the rules and does big huge things and does it sort of without a safety net. And so I could imagine that the little kid in me was like, I don't want to do it because like this is pretty big and what will happen after that. So anyway, so when you set your goal as a stepping stone to another goal, then it allows the parts of you with inside that have fear or worry to align to say, oh, I know what's coming after this. I don't have to be afraid of that. I can achieve this milestone. So that's your next lesson, is to switch your manifesting goals into a milestone on a journey to something even bigger, so that all of you know what's to be expected after, and isn't sort of looking over the cliff, but like to the drop below and being like, I don't want to fall, but instead looking over the cliff to see a bridge that you can walk across and knowing that it's safe. So I have a cute little like 3 steps thing that you can keep in mind when you find yourself pulling back or sabotaging yourself or putting up resistance or whatever. The first is to ask your intuition, your universe, your support system, whatever you believe in, to ask for the guidance that you need to ask for assistance in you being the person. So if you're, if you're talking about being the right person to another person, or being the best version of yourself, or saying the right thing, or doing the right thing, or whatever, if you're worried that your actions or words won't align with your pure intention, your good intention, then you can ask for assistance. Whenever I feel like I might be going into a difficult conversation, or a difficult situation, or I just want to make sure I do right by the person in front of me, I ask my spiritual team to help guide my thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, and actions for the highest good of all concerned, that are aligned with, and dot dot dot. You can put anything in there that you so choose. So the first is ask. Um, the next is to expect. To expect your guides are there to support you, to expect that they will guide you, that they will help you, that they will steer you in the right direction. And like, expect it like it's a knowing, like, I know this, it's happening, and observe it. Observe that it happens. um Even if it's small at first, or faint, or whatever, call it out. Observe it loudly, observe it with gratitude. Like, the example I use for this all the time is, if you're calling in abundance, financial abundance, and you see a penny on the ground, then say to the universe, oh, I see how you're showing me my abundance. Even if you don't want to pick it up, just, acknowledge its existence, acknowledge your universe for showing it to you, that you've observed it, that you're uh ready for it, that you have gratitude for the fact that your universe is guiding you and assisting you. So hopefully this has been helpful and you've enjoyed getting to know me a little bit more. Because I just want you to know, like, you're not alone. No matter what you're going through, I feel like I've lived 1,000 lives just so I can resonate with a lot of things that people have gone through. So I can't say that I've gone through everything that you've gone through, or I can relate to every situation, but I've definitely gone through a lot in life. Have had a lot of experiences, and definitely have compassion for anything that you might be going through. So just know, ask for your support team or your higher self for whatever it is you need. Expect that you'll get it, that your universe, your support team, whatever, is always giving you and guiding you to give you more and more of what you want. And then observe that it's happening, and observe it loudly with gratitude. So I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you on the next one.